Support for the show is brought to you by 100wattsandawire.com. There you can get a 100-watt ID, learn about operating events, and check out the gear in the shop. Plus, 100 Watts and a Wire is now on YouTube. See the show live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Central. Subscribe, click the bell, and give us a thumbs up. You can still take the show with you by subscribing wherever you get podcasts. And LDG. LDG makes small, lightweight tuners ideal for portable and emergency operations. Some can operate on internal batteries for months of normal use, making them easy to carry, install, and use in the field. Visit ldgelectronics.com.
And now, from Grid Square Echo Mike 48, this is 100 Watts and a Wire.
All right, welcome to 100 Watts and a Wire. It's Christian. My call sign is Kilo Zero Sierra Tango Hotel, joined by Steve, W7UDI in the Pacific Northwest. And we're going to take some questions here. We've been talking to Steve about his tower work, and you're welcome to join us live every Saturday. We live stream every Saturday morning, 10 o'clock Central Time. And Steve was up on the tower. He had his man lift up there. And let's see if we can pull some questions for you. Ian asked, Steve, how do you get back into that when you need to perform maintenance? So I guess he's talking about all of your tape.
Oh, you just cut it. I just basically have a razor knife or a sharp, and then you just kind of cut a slit in it, start up from the bottom and cut all the way to the top, and then you just start peeling it off. It's like peeling an onion. And eventually you got to manhandle it. And then once it's all cleared, then you just do what you need to do and then reseal it again, and off you go.
Ed asked, Steve, do you have to elongate that to start self-galvanizing? Not sure what part of that. I don't know.
Elongate. Okay, I'm not following that one.
Yeah,
and
bring that one back, Ed. Let's see.
Okay. Now stretching the. Yes, I stretch it a little bit, and then just to kind of get it into the nooks and crannies. And do the same thing with the tape. So you just kind of stretch it, and then as you're wrapping it around to get a nice feel. And then at the end, what I do is, especially on the outer layers, I cut off about a foot or so of the tape and then let it relax, because if you kind of cut it under tension, it will peel back over time. So, but as far as the sealing tape or the step 2, yes, I stretch it a little bit to kind of get it in the, because we're not dealing with this perfect connection here as far as sizes. You're going from one size cable to another, and you got the connectors there. And speaking of connectors, before you start, take some slip joint pliers and kind of tighten up that connector, not just a little bit beyond finger tight. That way, you got a good solid connection.
Okay, we got a comment from David. David says, "Thanks for the tower info. Coffee just finishing up. Boy, was there a solar flare or something that blasted 80 meters on Thursday? I don't know. I may have been listening to 160. This time of year, I make my switch to 160, and then in the morning, if it's dark, but right around 7 o'clock local time here in the heartland, 160's gone. Then I sort of work my way to 80, 40. And recently they've been just talking. I don't. Were you on the air on Thursday night? I don't know if it was good or bad on Thursday.
No, I wasn't on. I unfortunately didn't make it out to the shack here.
Anyway, we can get a man lift added to the 100 Watts and a Wire traveling toolkit.
That'd be awesome.
Yes,
I don't know. It probably. That'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome. And we have a genie lift at work, and it'll move you up quickly. There's one that's beep, 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 beep. And then there's one that'll, and you can, bring it back down. You just got to be really careful. I don't even let any of my crew work on it if they've had like too much cough medicine or any sort of, because I don't want them driving off the stage, but there's a really small one that just puts around. That's the one the old timer feels comfortable on. Slowly move up. Hopefully not a fire call for Steve.
No,
Let's see. I like your. Oh, I like your. Terry says I like your herd on 80 meters. Yeah, I do this thing where I listen to a lot of stuff on the radio, and I mostly listen. And if there's something out there that I need, I'll chase it a little bit. But I'll do this thing called herd on the radio, and I'll put 80 meter edition or for whatever band it may be on, and it's usually a couple of guys breaking balls or telling jokes, and whatever it is, and it's just such funny stuff. And I put that on the Facebook group. I do have a thing made up to have it here, and then maybe I'll capture a little bit of it's so hard to catch it perfectly because you'd have to just be recording
all the time. Yeah.
And, this week has been a little different. People are upset with politics and stuff like that. So I tend to kind of just go off into I'll go on 20 meters in the morning and listen for people in the park and special events and stuff like that. But you get these old boys that have been knocking around for a long time with each other, and they will just tear their buddies up. I mean, just.
Oh, yeah.
And so I add that. I add that there. But this is really a politic-free zone. We don't get into these controversial topics. It's not necessary. We know what we love. We all share this great hobby and this service together. So ever since we started this thing over 5 years ago, that's been what it is. Let's see. Ed says, maybe add a voucher to the man lift in the toolkit. Yeah. Ducks for cover. Right. That's right. That'd be nice to have. And the toolkit, I believe, is still going. There was an anonymous, this goes back several years now, an anonymous donor put together a bag, and it had so many things that you could use. This is one of the beauties of community. This person didn't want any sort of recognition, and just said, we'll put together like some crimping things, some tools, different things you would need, an antenna analyzer, and a good one. And all you had to do was pay it forward. So in other words, you would get the box, it all packed nicely in this box. People were putting their QSL cards in with it to talk about what projects they've been working on.
Nice.
Seal it back up, pay the $12 to send it to the next person. And this is how it went. It went around the country. And the person who donated anonymously has kind of dipped back. Life sometimes gets in the way, as we know. And so I haven't pushed, but I could probably send a message if somebody wanted to. But that's how it moves. You would just pay it forward. And just paying the postage is so much cheaper than going out and buying all these tools yourself. And, sharing tools is a time-honored tradition in ham radio. If you've got something, you lend it out. We give people things. But our tools, we lend tools, get it back, and they can be expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And so we know that in the traveling toolkit, if something has happened to that and it's not available anymore, or say it's been retired, I have not heard this, but it is part of the website. Maybe we'll build something new that can travel, because I've got things, other people have things, and we could put it together. But people would be so excited to get it. And there was a little log book in there, QSL cards were there, and people would take pictures of it when they would receive it, and they would just need it for an antenna analyzer, or they would just need it to build a cable, different things. And the whole list of what's available, or what was available, is on the website. I'm going to check into it now, but it's thank you for bringing up the toolkit, because when you just start out, especially, you don't have it. And then you're waiting around, to do what you need to do because you don't have these tools. And it's not like you can go to the big box stores all the time and get your crimp things or your whatever tool. So anyway, thank you. That was a distraction there, but snap back into it. But yes, Genie Lift in the toolbox. We'll work.
That'd be awesome, but I think the shipping would just be a little high.
Yeah, shipping would be. It would just roll to you real slow, and they'd carry the bag down the. I don't think that's legal either. If you have any questions, you are welcome to share them, and I'm curious to see what you guys are working on. It's a great time to look into ham radio projects. If you've got something you're working on, if you have any questions, go ahead and add them there. And we have to talk about the antenna. Steve says we should give away the G5 RV dipole, and here's how I'd like to do that. Oh, here's a good note here. Ian says, good antenna analyzers can be pricey. It's a great tool to have in a traveling toolkit. Yeah, that was probably the most expensive tool. The other ones that you can kind of get, out of your big, ham radio related, so HRO or your DX Engineerings can get them to you quickly. But an antenna analyzer, and I believe in investing in tools, and Steve and I can probably talk about tools in an upcoming show. I think we should definitely talk about all the tools that you need. I'm kind of curious now, Steve, let me talk about the antenna, but I got a question for you if I forget. I want to know what you took up there with you. So hold on to that thought. In terms of giving away the antenna for the next 12 weeks, this will be week number 2. You have to be in the chat, like right now. And it's okay if maybe you're not there next week. I don't know. I'd encourage you all to be on YouTube or be on the Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel, but be here to win. And the way we're going to do this is very simple. I mentioned earlier that my daughters will pick the name. Each call sign goes into the pot, gets a number, pull it out, and the winner. It's as innocent as can be and as random as can be. What we'll do now is we'll ask you to put if you're interested in winning a G5 RV dipole, put your call sign in the chat right now, and they'll be collected. We'll do that, and then we'll pick a winner from the names. If you can't use it, win it and give it away. Give it to somebody else, because that's an honorable thing to do right now, and we could use a little bit of friendliness in passing things around. So if you can't use it, that's okay. Put your call sign in, win it, give it away. Okay, Steve, what did you take up with you? Because I know when you go 85 feet in the air and you're like, son of a... Did that happen, number one? And the follow-up was, what was that? And what are some of the tools you needed to get your work done?
When I climb, there's times I forgot stuff. And it was like, when we're climbing, it's like, okay, we take the bare bones minimum. And so I have with the luxury of having the man lift, I could bring a lot more. So it was your basic box end, open end wrenches, slip joint pliers, a couple of different sizes crescent wrenches. The one tool that I always have with me is my scissors, electrician scissors, knife, screwdriver and then did I bring no, I didn't bring a hammer or anything. Then I just have this big yellow bucket that I just throw everything into it. It's a kind of a canvas bucket that we use. We hoist up equipment in. So, and then I had my come along. I had straps, carabiners, the usual, my harness and everything else. I just started throwing it in there and just went from there. There was some tools I probably didn't use. There was different sizes wrenches that I didn't use, but I had it there with me. So it just depends on what we're doing. So in this case, I was doing a lot of mechanical work, and then when it came to the coax, then I had the hoisting sock, and then that was I roped it up because I already had the rope in place, so pulled that up. The little shackle to support the weight of the half inch, and then tie wraps. That's the other thing. That was another thing that came up with me.
You definitely did have a little space. They do have a bit of standing. They wiggle a little bit too, for my liking. I can imagine at 85 feet, they have a little sway.
Oh yeah. And then you got to be really good on the controls, smooth. That's the thing, because you can really get jerked around.
Yeah. So continue to put your call signs now in the chat. Just do a one-time for me, please, because I'll go and I do this experiment with my children. They're 10 and 6. So if we could just get you to one time through here, this would be perfect. And then your comments with your call sign are totally fine. I remember a few years back, I interviewed Tim Duffy on the show, K3LR, and this guy has multiple towers, probably several $1 million worth of station there. I'm just going to guess. I don't know, but you can ride past it and you see towers. And I remember asking him, what's the main tool? And I think, and you may sympathize. Of course, you want many others, but I think like a crescent wrench was on his list of like must-haves up there. Like if he only had, a crescent wrench would be it. And I think that, towers, this is a whole different, I won't go too far off the path here, but towers, like when you're carrying everything on you, when you work, do you have somebody down below that you lower a rope to bring you up something, or how does that work? Or, climbing?
Typically, usually we'll have a 3-man crew. And so the idea is have 2 people on the ground or on the tower. And then the third person is the grunt or the groundman. And so usually we'll rig the tower, which means we'll get some ropes up and a pulley up there so we can, pull things up, which is like a grunt bag, as we call it. And that has all our tools and everything. So the idea is you climb as light as possible and then rig it and then haul everything up to that you need, tools and materials. And so it's usually a 3-man operation that we like to do. That way, if something happens, then the third man can deal with if we have to do a rescue or anything like that. But if you can get away with 2 minimum, but it just we prefer, at least in the work environment, 3 if possible.
Yeah, all trained to take care of you if something goes on. That's great. We're going to take some of your questions, too. We want to know what you're working on. Thank you all for putting your call signs in. One caveat and is that the prizes will be given away to stations here in the United States. I didn't want to have anybody have to pay shipping that costs more than the actual product itself going overseas. So I kind of apologize for that, but we'll keep it in the States for shipping purposes. That way we don't burden the supplier, that kind of deal. But we're giving away a G5 RV. Your names will go into the random drawing, and we'll announce the winner here next week. So thank you for that. We want to know what you're working on. We want to spend a little time here. If you have any questions, you can put them in the chat now. Her says, let's see. Oh, I need to take that off of there. Let's read that. My fall project is to recheck the radials for my stealth vertical.
Nice.
Country critters have messed up some of the radial field, so I'll use more landscape pins this time. Any thoughts on that, Steve?
Great. Yeah, just go out, check your radial field, and critters chew it up, or even your lawnmower could chew up a few of it, or someone tripped on it and pulled it up. And so it's this is a good time to, get that out there. And the landscaping stakes are great to kind of keep everything in place.
I had I won't call him an old timer at all, but he's old timer in the sense that he's been a ham for a long, long time. And he would put radials down in his lawn and use the pins. And he said the earth will take them down. Like, cause I thought maybe you'd bury it. I don't know, by hand. I don't know what you would do. I hadn't had a vertical, but he had a vertical, sort of like this flagpole thing. And he believed that if you put these pins down enough, because I said, what about the cutting the grass? Because I knew a guy who had a lawn service come out one time and cut his grass, and all of his radials got chewed up. His coax guy, he was so mad and just depressed about it. But so I don't know if the earth will pull it down, but he was convinced that it was pulled down low enough in that grass that he wasn't going to hit it. So
some people have taken so if you're going to put in radials, if I was going to do it by the house where I mow the grass, I'd mow the grass in the beginning down really low and set the deck down and get it low, and then get the radials out, and then let the grass grow up, and then raise the deck height. And then eventually the grass will just consume the wire and you won't see it. It'll disappear. And as far as pulling it into the earth, could be. But I just know with grass that if you do your first cut really low, lay out your radial field, and then let the grass grow up, and then, keep the cut height higher than usual, then
Right.
you should be fine. But stuff happens.
It totally happened, and it's really frustrating. I've had my my father-in-law was cutting the grass one time and had the roll bar up on the tractor and came through in one of my lines. It was rope. It was 20-meter antenna came down, and he went around it, good-hearted, trying to be helpful. I think I ran over one of your antennas. But he meant well. A WC6Q. This fall, I need to work on a longer antenna.
Mm-hmm.
I have a G5RV Junior now, a bit weak, but better than nothing. Of course it is. I don't know what a Junior, I guess, is that less.
It's just it's a shortened version of your standard G5RV.
G5RVs get a hard thing. But you know what? As the older I get, I think what happens is we end up talking to newer hams about things that they should get, or things they should not get. And every situation's different. You got to realize that what's happening for Steve, it may not play the way it plays for him where I am. It could be the same exact antenna. It might even be the same height. How's the ground underneath? Is it sandy or whatever, So you got to do what's best for you with what you got. And I can thank Steve for helping teach me that, and some of the other Elmers I've had in my life. And one of the best pieces of advice I didn't get 3 or 4 years ago came from a guy, lives close to maybe 45 minutes from here. He said, slow down. And another thing, it was very simple advice, slow down. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I got to get the hex beam. I'm going to get the hex beam. I'm going to do this. Relax. And he was like, just slow down. It's taken him over 40 years to get what he had. And he wanted me to understand it takes time and you can't all get it. And the other piece was great. He just said, teach their own. Yeah. I mean, that's a great just life thing. And if you can apply it to the ham radio, great. So a G5RV, so what? You put up what you can put up, and that's what you do. And if you can improve it anyhow, or if you can, talk about that a little bit, Steve, because I know you'll have some words of wisdom about putting up what you got.
Yeah, I hear guys just ragging on the on a G5RV or Carolina Wyndham off center fed dipole, any of those things. But each and every one of us, we have a different environment that we're in. HOAs or non-HOAs, limited property size, the spousal factor. There's just a number of things that impact our hobby, and I just get tired of hearing people, oh, if you don't have this or that or this or that, you're not a real ham. It's like, oh my God, you guys are killing me. Mm-hmm. So my attitude is any wire up is better than no wire. So whether it's a G5, G5RV, off center fed dipole, standard dipoles, it doesn't matter. It could be your rain gutters around your house. If you can load it up, great, go for it. And so don't get too hung up on that, and don't listen to these guys. I mean, they're talking out their keister most of the time. It just and
that never sounds good. It never sounds good when it comes out of the keister. Hey, give us a second. We have a couple more questions we're gonna get to, but I forgot we've got to pause here for the audio folks at home. Give us 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
Hi, it's Don Welbanks, AE5DW from Amateur Radio Newsline and Ham Nation, and you're listening to Christian Kudnick, K0STH, on 100 Watts and a Wire.
Desktop tuners are one of the most popular ham radio accessories. LDG has just come out with the Z100A desktop tuner, and it works with all modern HF radios like ICOM, Yaesu, Alinco, Kenwood, and more. The Z100A has LDG's famous 10-to-1 SWR tuning range that matches dipoles, verticals, end-fed long wires, G5RVs, or even an off-center fed Wyndham. Easy integration means plug-and-play operation. Installation could not be simpler. The Z100 A's tuner goes everywhere with your HF radio. Desktop, portable, parks, islands, or tall summits. LDG is a family-owned and operated company dedicated to bringing advanced quality products to the amateur market. Our focus is anticipating our customers' needs and providing them with world-class support. Don't forget, LDG products carry a full 2-year, fully transferable warranty. Support is only a phone call or email away. We're always here to help you. LDG Electronics, everywhere you look, there's an LDG.
QRO to the people. This is 100 watts and a wire.
Yeah, and cheers to everyone at home. Birthday celebration here. This is straight bourbon, probably
Nice.
8 to 10 ounces full. And by the end of the next sentence, I will... No, coffee still very early.
Starting early.
Starting early. I'm glad you could be here, though. I appreciate all the kind words through our social media outlets and here. Ray has a question. Ray is Kilo November 6, Romeo Alpha Yankee. Where can I get information on building a quarter wave dual band 2 meter 70 centimeter antenna? Any
Just build a quarter wave 2 meter antenna. That's it. That's all you need. Because for 70 centimeters, it will be 3/4 of a wave. It will just build your standard 2 meter quarter wave antenna, and you'll be able to operate on 70 centimeters. Hey, that might be a good thing. I'll have to try that. I'll have to maybe slap together a real quick quarter wave 2 meter antenna, and we'll throw an analyzer on it, and we'll sweep it, and we'll see where we'll tune it for the sweet spot in 2 meters, and then we'll sweep it at 70 centimeters and see where the sweet spot is there. But yeah, just build your standard quarter wave, 19 inch on your main radio, and then say 20 inches on your main element, on your vertical element, and then 20 inches on your counterpoises there or your radials, and it'll work fine on 70 centimeters.
All right. Folks are saying I might be losing some of my Wi-Fi bandwidth. My apologies for that. Not too much I can do, but hope that it comes back. I think my kiddos may be playing on the Wi-Fi, so hopefully the audio is still okay for you. Wes says he's a Whiskey Echo 5, Mike Alpha Golf. He's adding a little Tar Heel 2 and a 7300 to my truck. That's his fall project, a 7300 in the truck.
Nice, on the Tar Heel. Nice setup.
The Tar Heel antenna is great. I have one on my truck. Enjoy it. A great deal. And as we talk about future projects, you and I will be talking about antennas and things like that for mobile, for sure. Let's see. Whiskey 1 United Echo Delta. I put up a homebrew double G5 RV a couple weeks ago, 204 feet long, 60 feet in small lot. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Curious to see how that's playing out.
Now, did you end up bending the legs, which we can? You don't have to have your wire go out straight. That's what's the cool part. Is you can kind of put a 90-degree bend or bend it down, bend it horizontally. Get creative. The RF doesn't care. It just doesn't have to be in a straight line. You can kind of bend it around things. And so, yeah, I like hearing these creative
Me too.
setups.
I mentioned Tim Duffy, K3LR, and, we were talking about 160, and at the time I was in love with 160. If they had a 160 meter antenna magazine, I would have spent a lot of time doing things like teenage boys do, because those legs, oh my. But, that was a point of his that, he put up, I think, I may be getting it wrong. If I do, apologies to Tim, but one of his first 160 antennas was a inverted L, and he was like, limited space. Mm-hmm. He said it went straight up, it went out, it bent over this way, and it back down that way. And he was another one who said, just put it up. You never know if you don't, and the results may surprise you. And he mentioned how he had to bend to trees. So if you ever see Tim, tell him old Christian brought up that inverted L, but many people have to do that, go straight up with your wire and then take it out as far as you can go to whichever direction. But like Steve's saying, and K3LR has also said, don't worry as much about touching. I always used to think if my wire touched a tree, I'd burn the tree down. Like that was one of my first thoughts. And then see Steve's face, probably not. It's like
probably not. No, but it will have some effect on the antenna, but it won't burn the tree down.
Yeah, that's what
unless you're running, big buku power. But we're not broadcasters and running 50 kilowatts. For what we run, that's not a problem.
Yep. So. I think when we get into it, people start to think about these things. I was told I'd have trouble getting out with all the leaves in the spring. And these things we have to be careful what we say to newer hams, because, you get so excited, and then it can ultimately put you in a position of like, crap, well, maybe I'm not good enough, or maybe I can't do this. There were times where I thought maybe I can't afford this hobby, but yeah, you're going to have trouble getting out. All these leaves are going to be a problem. And I haven't had, maybe technically there's a small effect, but it was positioned to me as if you're going to have problems, buddy. Too many damn trees. See you later. And I took it that way. And I thought, man, well, maybe what do I need to do? I can't put the tower up and get over an oak tree that's 200 years old. I got to use that. So we have to be mindful, as we've said in the past weeks here, of new people coming in, doing what they need to do, and trying to help them get the best they can with that. That's why they make antenna tuners. I know people are like, tuners? Ugh. I don't. Look, talk to somebody who does emergency communication work about the, SWR. Like, what really matters when you're doing MCOM work? And I'm not saying it doesn't matter in your shack. It does matter. But when you need to get out in an emergency situation, are you sketching out over your you put it on a tuner and you go. Like, you got to go. You got to do it. So if nothing else, man, I'd like to spend the rest of my ham days trying to give back to the newer ones the lessons of like, you're going to be all right, man. You're going to be okay. Fine. Just put it up there, and if you have questions, ask somebody. Just keep asking questions. I do it. I do it all the time. Did it last night with Steve. I was going to hear the honest. I was like, you know what? I'll ask Steve tomorrow on the show. And then it's like, where's my phone? My phone's right there. I could just send him a text. Why we want to wait? I'm waiting for the answer. I'm like, what's he think? I need to know.
And then I go down this damn rabbit hole.
Okay, so let's talk about that. We're going to talk about. We have about 8 minutes here before we should wrap up. What do I want to put up there? I guess what we're working on in some of our projects. So let's go back to the projects. So upcoming type projects. I'm going to build a Go box after all the time, and I set up a lot, and I probably will do it today once we get off of the show here. I'll probably go out because it's going to be 73 degrees here. It's November in America's heartland here in Missouri, 73 degrees today. I'm probably going to go set up an antenna. The point being, I've decided I'm going to make a Go box, and you'll see that maybe next week we'll share it. And it's like these projects are overlapping now. I had the rack mount. I've got the stuff. I've got the radio, but I've decided that operating portable for me, I'm working out of boxes and it's been fine. And I decided this is how I'm going to do it. And after a summer of setting up, I'm like, let's rack it up. Let's rack it up and let's be able to just carry it. Everything will be plugged in. You'll make a panel in the back. And here comes the text last night. I'm drilling a hole to put in one of these Anderson power pole connections. I'll show it to you. Take some pictures. But anyway, in the back of a panel of like a rack mount, like back in here, on the back side of this, where I can plug things in. I got a coax back there I can plug in. Steve, wait, go back a minute. Wait till tomorrow. You just ask him on the air. It'll be fine. So I sent the text, couldn't wait. And I'm like, what do you think about putting for grounding. I want to be able to ground the tuner. I do have a tuner in my portable rig, small LDG, and then I've got my rig. It's got, grounded, and it opened up a can of worms. I'm like, should I drill a hole?
Well, you sent me the picture of the stud. So you got the bolt, you got some nuts and split washers and a wing nut, and it's like, oh, okay, a grounding stud, cool. It's like, oh my God. And then we went down the rabbit hole.
We went down the rabbit hole, and I'm like, I really don't want to drill this hole. And I'm thinking, like, I don't want to mess up the panel. And apologies if the Wi-Fi is breaking up. I see a note in there about it. It could be anything. So anywho, I'm like, I don't want to drill this hole, and we'll get into this as we go a little further down the road. I'm like, I'll stick it through one of the holes in the rack holes. It's right there.
The rack rails. Yep.
I'll go in the rack rail. Forget about it. And I'm cool with it, but I didn't know that I sent Steve into like this crazy grounding scenario. And so when we connected this morning, the pre-show, which is probably something we should release, he was like, oh man, this grounding thing has really got me. I was thinking about this grounding thing, and grounding is so complicated. And I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't think I've ever grounded the radio in a portable scenario. Like, I don't think I've ever done it. And why am I freaking out? But I freaked out him a little bit because grounding now opens up all these scenarios. So a public apology for that. But go ahead.
So basically, I was asking the question on, what should I use for grounding, the radio, the tuner and everything. And I just went into automatic mode. It's like, oh yeah, you do this, get a single point of ground and everything fine. And then I'm like, and we just went in deep, and I started going, oh, do you use braided wire, or do we use, stranded or solid core? And I'm like, oh my God, I went into this automatic mode, like you're setting up for a station, a fixed station, like here in our shacks. And I was like, wait a minute, time out. How many times do we pound a ground rod into the ground when we're out in a park? Never. And it's like, and then I started to rationalize this as like, well, maybe, some people are going to have their go box, and that's going to be their permanent station at home. So they use it as their home station, plus they take it out in the field. Then, okay, yeah, you want to tie everything together to a single point ground in the box and then go out. And then I just was telling Christian this morning, oh God, we're going to go down the grounding road. And it's like, oh, you want a can of worms? Holy smokes. Grounding is one of the biggest can of worms here in this hobby. And it's one of those. And I was just beating myself up going into the rabbit hole of grounding. And it's like, well, wait a minute, stop.
I'm so sorry.
How often do we really? But no, it was a good exercise. Yeah. And the point I'm getting at is that we can get really super, super deep into something, but does it really fit the application that we're doing? And it's like, you're not going to drive a ground rod into Mother Earth out in the middle of a park or up on a soda site. And to really do it right, you're going to drive a 8-foot ground rod? No, that's just not going to happen. And why are we going to put grounding in there? For lightning protection and maybe drain off a little RF? Nah. In a portable situation, it's not going to happen. The lightning is going to come up. We're packing up and we're heading out. So yeah, it was. We can get so super deep and into the weeds of stuff, and it's like, whoa, step back, and that's what I was going off on this morning.
Yeah,
the vernacular got a little colorful.
Of all my my going back full circle now, we'll wrap things up here, and everybody can get on with those projects that you mentioned. And thanks for sharing all that stuff with us. My ARRL member benefit book is a book on grounding, and it's Ward Silver's book, I think. And the other ones I have, that's one of the benefits, that you get some sort of free publication. And I've got down here with my antenna books, you can't see, but you know how whatever books they put out, and you pick antenna book or wire or portable antenna. This time it's grounding. And I got to be honest, I feel like I'm in over my head, man. I'm like, oof. It's one of those ones where I have experience on HF, but it's like, just tell me what to do and so that'll be something maybe we get into a multi-part conversation about grounding, because it is important in your shack, but how important is it when you're portable? And we've discovered that I've never done it, and I set up countless times during the summer and spring and maybe even today, and I'm like, I've never even done that. Why are you burning the energy? And then your poor Elmer there is like, and
there's probably some people that do it. I mean, if I needed to ground on a portable setup, I'd probably pound in maybe a 1 or 2 foot rod, or one of those screw rods where you can those tent stakes that you can screw into the ground. That would be about it. But I mean, in reality, if a thunderstorm comes into the area and I'm operating portable, it's like, I'm out of here, sea child. We're packing it up and we're beating feet.
Yeah, let's get out of here. That's what you think. And so on that note, friends, we'll wrap it up there. Steve, thanks for sharing your story of last week. I know you've got more work lined up. You're going to go and do great stuff out there today. All of us and our friends who stopped by today, good luck. Stay safe out there as you do that stuff. And remember, everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. No matter we're talking ham radio, we're talking about the world. We're going to be okay. Let's meet here again next Saturday, 10 o'clock Central Time. We'll give away another antenna, another feel-good piece, and everything's going to be good. So 73 for now. Steve, we'll catch up with you. Can't wait to see what you're working on again next week, and we'll do the same. I'll bring my portable Go kit, and we'll take it from there. So 73.
Perfect.
And
7-3, everyone.
Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Central Time on the air. Check in for the Sunday evening HF Net. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And by all means, if you can, please try and stay above the noise.
To join the 100 Watts in a Wire community, visit 100wattsinawire.com.